Hello everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar, Make Your LinkedIn Profile Work for You at I Am Back at Work. And we'll start with just a short admin. I want to give you a quick explanation on how to navigate the webinar panel. So if you'll see a webinar panel. It might be just a small rectangle on the right or the bigger one on the left, and how you close or expand it is by using the orange arrow in the corner of each. When you click on it, it will open up, and when you want to ask questions, you can open the little question panel just there by clicking that little triangle, and then you will type your questions in the blue rectangle at the bottom, and we will address all of your questions in the last 5 minutes of the webinar. Now I would like to welcome Alexandra Stevens. Alexandra is a mission-driven marketer and career services professional. She fuses together her experience in career development and communications to help clients transform their online brand and position them for career success. She leads webinars and in-person workshops for groups of all ages on the power of LinkedIn, social media for the job search, and professional networking. Alexandra is currently the Associate Director of Alumni Career Programs and Engagement at Brandeis University, where she creates meaningful opportunities for Brandeis students, alumni, parents, and employers to connect about careers. Alexandra graduated summa cum laude from Northeastern University with BA in Communication Studies. She's here today to share her LinkedIn magic, including practical to-dos, to take your profile from a list of what you've done to a springboard to what you'll do next. Welcome, Alexandra.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today. And thank you, Mickey, for that warm welcome. So we have a lot to do and in the next half hour. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to turn off my webcam. So now you've seen me, and soon you will not, so we can get focused on the presentation itself. So as Mickey mentioned, I'm both an Associate Director of Career Programs here at Brandeis University, but outside of work, I am an Executive LinkedIn Coach. So I'm very excited to be here with you today. Most of you are probably here because you think LinkedIn is a worthwhile tool, and you probably have a profile because you think you should have one, but maybe that's all you've done with it to date. I'm here to say that if you do choose one form of social media to commit to for your job search, do choose LinkedIn, and here's a couple reasons why. It is the world's largest professional network with over 460 million members in over 200 countries around the world, and the opportunities to find connections and jobs abound. So over 6.5 million active job postings, and people are looking for people like you. So 94% of recruiters are actually using the tool to source and vet candidates for jobs. The other great thing about LinkedIn is that it appears very high in Google search results. So if you are applying to jobs, if you're meeting people for networking opportunities, they may be searching for you on Google. And so you want to control what they see when they look for someone with your name. So you can really use LinkedIn to stay connected, expand your network, research companies, careers, fields, and people. You can search for jobs and even apply through LinkedIn now. But today we're really going to be focusing on how you can use LinkedIn to build your brand and build a strong profile for whatever your career goals are. So in the next half hour, we're going to cover tips for getting started. So before you even start making edits to your profile, what should you be thinking about? We're going to go over specific must-have sections, your photo, your headline, your summary, and your experience section. And then we're going to talk about some strategies for downplaying employment gaps, because I do know that's probably why a lot of you are listening to today's call and are interested in I Am Back at Work. Throughout the presentation, you'll also see resources at the bottom of each slide. Because you aren't able to click on these as hyperlinks, I just said Google search these great resources. So a couple great ones here to point out. There's a LinkedIn article about how freelancers can create LinkedIn profiles. So lots of different types of profiles and career fields out there. This is specifically a great one for anyone who's doing contract work. Also, another great article by Forbes, 10 buzzwords to cut from your LinkedIn profile. So if you want more information on those, just pop those into Google and you'll find them really easily. So let's go ahead and get started. So before you even start editing your profile, what are some things to think about? You really want to think about what your career goals are. Who are you as a professional? Why are you on LinkedIn? And who is your audience? So are you a career changer? Are you a job seeker? Are you a prospective student? Are you returning to work after a gap? Are you hoping recruiters notice you? Are you hoping to build your network for informational interviewing? Think about what your goals are when you're setting up your profile. Another thing that I do with my private clients is so many of them do come to me for LinkedIn coaching and building their profile. But first things first, a lot of them haven't updated their resume in a very long time. And resumes and LinkedIn profiles really go hand in hand. LinkedIn is like an online expanded version of your resume. So if you haven't updated your resume in a while, I'd take the time to do that now simultaneously as you're updating your profile. It's also a lot easier when you're able to upload your resume to LinkedIn. It pre-populates a lot of things for you into your profile. I mentioned before that people could be searching for people like you on LinkedIn already. So it's important to understand how you appear in those search results. So I have a little example here of Mickey, and I want to show you what appears. First, her photo, her name, her headline, her location, and her industry. And so when you're thinking about this first snapshot of what people see when they search for you on LinkedIn, make sure it's up to date and reflects who you are now, your current living situation, the industry you're aspiring to be in, and your headline. And we'll talk more specifically about the headline in just a little bit. The other thing when folks are just getting started that I love to recommend is to get inspiration from others. LinkedIn is an excellent research tool to find the profiles of other professionals who are doing what you want to be doing. Take a look at their profiles. See what skills they have in there. See how they're putting their headlines in. See what experience they've had. Not only is it great to use LinkedIn to actually reach out to these folks and begin to have conversations, but just looking at their profile can give you a lot of information about what's needed in a field and how to present that to others. Last reminder before getting started is to turn off your notifications. So when you're in your edit profile mode, there will be this little button appearing on the right-hand side that says notify your network, and you want to say no. So what this will prevent is your network from receiving lots of updates into their newsfeed whenever you make a little change to your profile. So it's great to keep this off, and then when you have your brand new profile and you're ready to let the world see it, you can select yes, and then they'll be able to see you have a newly updated profile. So those are some tips on how to get started. Now I want to take you through some of the must-have sections. So the first is photo. Some folks may say that this is optional, but I say it is a must. Your profile is actually 11 times more likely to be viewed if you have a photo. If you don't have a photo, it can also be strange to folks. They don't know that it's you. It's especially important if your name is popular. It can help you differentiate yourself from others with your same name. Or if you're networking or reconnecting with a former colleague on LinkedIn, putting a face to a name really helps people remember you. So I say photo is a must of a complete and strong profile. Couple tips for photos though. First of all, it should be you alone. So no awkward crops, no, someone's arm coming around your shoulder. We really want it to just be you in the main frame of the photo. It should also look like you now, how you look today, not how you looked 20 years ago. It should have a relatively neutral background and look professional for your industry. So this could be a lot of different things. Some industries are more casual, others are more formal. A veterinarian it might be appropriate for a veterinarian to have a photo of them and a pet, but traditionally it should just be you with no other icons, people, or animals in the photo with you. But it doesn't have to be professionally taken. And so I talked about including some resources at the bottom of many of our slides today. There's a great LinkedIn blog post on the guide to the perfect work selfie. So this post actually takes you through how to take a selfie that's going to translate well for a LinkedIn profile. There's another great tool as well, 5 tips for picking the right LinkedIn profile, that covers some of this and a little bit more. But do include a picture. It is a must. It helps people remember who you are, especially if you've met them previously or if it's been a while. The next piece that I want to talk about is the headline. So the headline is what appears just below your name in your LinkedIn profile. And like I mentioned before, it also is one of the first things to appear in search results. LinkedIn will default your headline to your most recent experience. So I want to tell you that you are more than the default. You are more than your last job title. You are more than your current job title. So you really want your headline to be customized and attention grabbing. And it should be based on your current status. Whether that's aspirational, if you're a job seeker, it should be positioning you as an expert, showcasing your skills. For me, you see my example here: mission-driven marketer, engagement expert, LinkedIn coach, connecting the Brandeis community for success. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but because I work with private clients outside of Brandeis, but also am using LinkedIn for my Brandeis work, it was really important for me to showcase both in my LinkedIn headline. And also, this is keyword searchable. So this is another great way to include keywords that people might be using to find folks like you. I've included a couple examples here so that you can see how different headlines can be. So the first is a more traditional one describing your role: corporate transactional and restructuring attorney at X law firm, but then it lists specialties: M&A, bankruptcy, finance, startups. You see, you can really use punctuation to break up your headline and make it more readable, and also highlight skills. There's the mission statement type of headline, where what is your professional mission statement? You build strategic partnerships and initiatives in support of education, social change, and the economic empowerment of women. Or if you're seeking jobs, another way to use the headline is corporate communications and PR leader who engages audiences, builds relationships, and drives results. Again, it's encompassing who are you as a professional, where do you want to go, and what skills do you have to offer an employer. This is a great student one, so if any of you are considering returning to graduate school to buff up your skills, or maybe you just graduated, public health and psychology's student, but then including that aspirational title, aspiring health educator. Lastly, I thought this was a great example of an entrepreneurial one if you're starting your own venture: co-founder at your company name, entrepreneur, developer, doer. So I like this last one because it shows a bit of personality. So anywhere in your LinkedIn profile is an opportunity to showcase your personality and avoid cliches. And I think the headline is a specifically great place to do that. So the next piece is your professional summary section. LinkedIn profiles can get very, very long. And as we all know, and as many of you know who are listening to this right now, not all career paths are linear. So it really is important to have a summary that tells your story and tells it quickly. Now, what your professional summary should do is highlight your accomplishments. This shows your next employer what you might be able to offer them. It should also include industry keywords. Again, keywords should be integrated throughout your profile to help you appear in the right searches. Lastly, similar to the headline, it can showcase your personality. So this is your opportunity to be a little bit funny, or to show your quirkiness, or to tell people maybe one or two things that's outside your experience section below that they might not know about you. If you're a career changer or someone returning to the workforce after a gap in employment, this is really the place where you can connect the dots for your reader, particularly for career changers. So if a lot of your past experience is not relevant to what you're doing now, connect the dots for folks. Say, I was once a marketing manager, but now I'm using my excellent communication skills to launch this new nonprofit initiatives. So listing transferable skills is a huge, huge thing, just not only for your LinkedIn profile and your summary here, but also for your resume. Returners after a gap, same thing. Focus on work history, focus on those transferable skills that are going to be relevant to the job market today. And also in the summary, you can consider addressing your gap head on. And so we'll talk about a couple ways you can do that a little bit later on in the presentation. Again, a couple great resources at the bottom of your screen here. The Muse is a career blog that has excellent advice. One of the articles I loved recently was 5 templates that'll make writing the perfect LinkedIn summary a breeze. And this shows how different summaries can really look. And it shows 5 different types and gives you examples. So not all summaries are alike. So like I mentioned before, get inspiration from others. Take a look at other people's profiles who are doing the type of work you want to do, and model your summary after theirs. You can see what works well that way. The other article here, one from Forbes, 3 steps to writing the perfect LinkedIn summary. Again, mentions some of the things that we talked about just now, but goes into a little bit more depth. So the next section is actually 2 sections, education and experience. I'll touch on education just briefly. Education is super important if you've attended a university or a college or another type of educational institution. Put it in your profile. It's so important to include your alma mater because alumni networks are very, very powerful, particularly on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, it's all about who you're connected to. So include your education, include your alma mater, so other alumni can find you. Now moving to your experience section, this is where the bulk of your past jobs are going to go. But past jobs, I want you to really think about that more broadly than just paid work. Okay, so paid professional experiences are great, but especially for those who've had a gap in employment or are career changers, maybe you've done some really meaty volunteerism. Maybe you've stayed up to date in your field by getting a certification or taking courses, or maybe you've received an award for some community involvement that you've done. The experience section is where you could put all of those things. Under each experience, the same goes for your resume. You really want to focus on outcomes versus specific tasks in your bullet points. This is going to show a future employer what you can offer them, not just what you did, but what did you do and what result did it have. So I give you a couple examples here actually from my own resume. So instead of just supervised student workers, you increased the capacity of your center by hiring, training, and supervising 10 student counselors and a marketing intern. So this shows that not only were you just supervising people, you were training them. It gives the type of students that you are working with, marketers and counselors. And ultimately it shows that you are able to increase capacity of your workplace by doing smart hiring. Another example here, managed website redesign project. Okay, could be better by saying spearheaded comprehensive redesigns of 4 center websites, increasing web traffic by over 200%. So it's not as important that you manage the project, but the result of that project had twice as many views to the website now because of your work. So really important to be results and outcomes focused when thinking about your bullet points in your experience section. The other thing that LinkedIn allows you to do is add samples of your work. So to any of your experience listings, you can add multimedia, a document, a photo, a hyperlink, a video, a PowerPoint presentation. Again, this adds color to your profile, and it also highlights your tangible work that you've completed. So your LinkedIn profile can really act now as your online portfolio in a lot of ways. Maybe you were featured as an expert in a newscast, and you were interviewed about something. You could include a link to that here. So your experience section can really be robust. Some other sections for you to think about are skills. Recommendations are wonderful to get and give. It's a two-way street. LinkedIn now has a publishing platform where you can write your own blog posts if you want to position yourself as a subject matter expert in something. Honors and awards, again, you can have your own sections for these or integrate them into your experience, into your summary. Just make sure they're in there. Publications, projects, certifications, even the groups and companies that you follow help to paint a better picture of you as a professional. And then causes and volunteer experiences also can have their own sections or, again, be integrated into the experience section. So lots of different options for your profile. And as you start building and adding these different sections, the order is going to be something you want to think about as well. So I highly recommend starting with the summary because it ties everything else below it together. And then maybe you want to do skills and experience with education lower if it's been a while since you've been in school. Play around with the order, but think about it that a LinkedIn profile can get very long. So make it easy for your reader to see the most important information closest to the top. Now, I did say I'd get to some specific tips in case you are worried about employment gaps and you want to downplay them in your resume or in your LinkedIn profile. So I did do a little additional research on this and found some great sources that had excellent ideas. In general, employment gaps happen, right? I think on LinkedIn you don't need to be as concerned about gaps because there's just so much already to look at and so many opportunities to show how you've stayed active in your community and your career. So like we talked about, be sure to add courses, any volunteerism or certifications to your experience section. Don't tuck them away in the volunteer section. Add them as substantive job experiences in the experience section. If you've had shorter gaps, maybe it's just been a few months between work, or maybe it's even been a year, switch to just years in your experience section versus month and year. It's a lot easier to hide gaps that way when it says that you've been working somewhere from 2011 to 2012 and then 2014 to 2016, for example. We mentioned potentially adding a statement in your professional summary section to just address it head on. So this is from womenworklife.com. I thought it was a great example. You just say it. For the past 5 years, I've been out of the workforce raising my children. During this time, I focused on volunteering and improving my leadership skills. And now that I've accomplished this, I'm eager to re-enter the workforce and find the right fit where I can contribute my talents. Another tip that I saw, which I thought was a very cool idea, is actually to create a standalone position for your gap. And so this would be a position in the experience section where you talk about what you've done during your time out of the workforce. And so I wanted to show you an example of this that came from LinkedInMakeover.com, where this mother actually said that she called her job title team leader of Shinaski Ltd. I assume that's probably her last name. And she talks about her gap and what she did during that gap. And the thing that I love about this is she really showcases her personality. And she shows how she still remained active in her community and building skills. So during this time, she joined a nonprofit where she was elected treasurer. She was a Girl Scouts leader, helping to mentor young girls. She also managed a home construction project, which was able to highlight her budgeting skills, being a project manager, and adhering to deadlines. And then she adds some fun in there too. The most important part of this project was maintaining a budget that will keep you reasonably sane. So lots of different ways to address the gap or not in your LinkedIn profile. And so I hope this is a great start for you to get started yourself, whatever your career goals may be. So Mickey, I'd love to open it up for any questions that folks have now. I know that was a lot to throw at people in 25 minutes.
So I just want to add a comment in there that addressing the gap head on, people have different opinions on this. I think that recruiters often look for the gaps, so just telling them straightforward what it was, and especially in a creative way. I recently saw somebody describe describe the caretaking of the kids as creatively finding ways on a daily basis to entertain the kids, something like that. That again, it showed their personality and some creativity, which I thought was great. So I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions. I do want to encourage you all as well to look back at I'm Back at Work and see the other webinars that we have. We have a webinar on getting your resume together, and as Alexandra said, that is very helpful to work on your resume side by side as you're working on your LinkedIn. You can definitely take some of that information from your resume and basically make some changes, etc., to make it be more suitable for your LinkedIn profile. So at this point, we don't have any more questions. So I want to thank Alexandra for a great webinar and all this useful information. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and best of luck to all of you as you update your LinkedIn profiles for whatever is coming next for you. If you do want to learn more about me, my LinkedIn profile is right here. It has my contact information right there. So I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Okay, have a great day, everyone.